All right. Well, on the line right now, Marina Sirtis, we're excited to see you. This is a very first for Regina, the first Fan Expo Regina. You have never probably really been up here before, I take it.
I don't think I've been to Saskatchewan before. I've been to many other places in Canada, but not to you guys.
Now, I was going through some stuff at home, kind of prepping for the interview, and I actually came across Deanna Troi action figure. Is it odd that there are fans out there that have your likeness and it is in so many different places?
You know, we've kind of got used to it, I suppose. I think when we were first confronted with the action figures, it's kind of weird to think that, you're a doll. I think the saving grace is that it kind of doesn't look like me, really, but it looks like someone I'm related to. So I can kind of separate myself a little bit from it. I don't know. It is kind of, about, I suppose, a few months ago now, or maybe even a year ago, they made Pez of us all. So I kind of went, well, I suppose that's when you know you've made it, when you're a Pez, right? It's just bizarre. It is bizarre, but hey, everyone I suppose people collect things, and why not collect TFG memorabilia? It's as good as anything else, right?
Now,
why not?
I was in Calgary last weekend at the Calgary Expo, which you have been to before, actually. There was a substantial event that happened a couple years ago.
Last year, yeah. I think it was last year, just over a year ago. Probably the biggest event we've been to in Calgary. So that says a lot for how much you Canadians love us. And I've always said, Canadians are the nicest people in the world. They really are. You got the best from Europe when they came over and settled in Canada.
Well, they had the Next Generation cast. It was a big reunion in Calgary. And
That's right.
This year, they kind of did the same thing, except this year it was the cast of Aliens, which is pretty cool. And
that's great.
I'm not sure if this is true or not, but I actually found something online. Jeanette Goldstein, her character in Aliens, that's kind of how Gene Roddenberry decided to come looking for you.
Oh, really? See, I didn't know that. So you find out something new every day. I've always said the fans know way more about our show than we ever did because they do the research, and we're just a bunch of, actors who basically learned our lines and tried not to bump into the furniture.
Well, apparently that's where the idea came from for you getting involved, is that they saw Aliens and Roddenberry and a friend of his and saw the character Vasquez, if you remember the movie. She was the girl the tough girl with the bandana. Anyway, they decided they wanted to bring that to Star Trek, and I guess they wanted to kind of bring in a character like that, and then that's kind of where they realized they saw you, and you kind of had that look about you, and they wanted you involved in the series. That is the story I found online, so I don't know if that's true or not.
I don't know if it's true either, but I'm going to believe it's true because I like the story.
that is cool because you were your character was kind of unique on the show, and usually the idea of even a female in Star Trek is kind of a special thing. What was it like kind of being in this crew of guys on the show?
Well, because I was on the bridge, I was the only female on the bridge, kind of like Nichelle Nichols was in the original show. I mean, I'm talking after Denise Crosby left, obviously. It's funny, actually, because our favorite thing to do when we're all together is to make fun of Patrick. When he's not around, they make fun of me. So maybe it's a British thing. I don't know. It's an English thing that we're the butt of everyone's jokes. Or maybe it's the way I speak. They do love to make fun of the way I speak. Even Patrick, who says, Marina has her own accent. No one sounds like Marina because I've got this kind of weird mid-Atlantic Cockney thing going now. I call it Yankney, which is half Yankee and half Cockney, which is kind of how I speak now.
You being the character, the counselor on the Enterprise, do you find people come up to you maybe in real life or at cons and they ask for advice from you and they ask you kind of maybe some deep questions, looking for some counseling?
Well, people have always told me their problems. And maybe that's another reason I got the part because I think Corey Allen, who directed the first episode, the pilot, said to me, we sense something in you that the character needs. We sense an empathy in you that the character needs. What they sensed actually was terror at the time because I was so scared and nervous about auditioning for this wonderful job. But They said, you have an empathy. I don't know why people tell me their problems, because I'm the biggest gossip in Hollywood, so you may as well just call the newspapers and tell them instead of telling me. But I'm joking, actually. But they have. But at conventions, the people who really adore Counselor Troi tend to burst into tears when they meet me. So that's kind of flattering and odd all at the same time. So I have to comfort them and hug them and make them feel better.
I was telling somebody in the hallway that I would be speaking with you on the phone, and they know you were coming to Regina, and they said, "Oh, I got a question you should ask her."
Okay.
And they said you should ask her Star Trek or Star Wars.
Oh.
I was like, oh,
okay.
Funny guy,
all right.
funny guy.
Yes, you should. Yes, you should. Okay, so I will say, originally, I would say Star Wars, but only the first 3 movies.
Yeah,
the ones with the original cast. After that, I have to go Star Trek, because I'm sorry, but the 1, 2, and 3, or whatever order they come in, I don't know. The number's very confusing in Star Wars, but the later ones I'm not fond of. But the original ones with Harrison Ford and Carey and Mark Hamill, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And groundbreaking and earth-shattering and all those things.
And the news just came, 2 days ago? I don't know if you heard, but episode 7, those guys are all confirmed that they are back, and it's supposed to be fairly
the
heavily...
The only one that isn't confirmed that he's back, and they really, especially after the whole Clippers, thing that happened this week in Los Angeles, they need to get Billy D. Williams back.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
He wasn't announced as being back. He needs to be back. We need the brother back,
He's probably still recovering from Dancing with the Stars. It probably took a lot out of him.
I think I see Billy D at these events all the time. He's in great shape. He is totally, if he can dance, he can walk and talk, So whoever is directing number 7, they need to give his agent a call.
Well, actually, this weekend, Ray Park, who played Darth Maul in episode 1, will be there as well. So I think you and I should approach him and ask him what the hell was going on with those prequel movies.
Yes, I know. I didn't understand them at all.
If you got my back on this, we'll do it together. Because I feel like you'd be a good backup to have.
He's English, so he's not going to hit us. He won't shoot us or anything because he's English. He won't pull a gun and kill us.
You've done actually a ton of other stuff too besides the sci-fi stuff. It was really, you were in the movie Crash, which is huge.
I was. Yes. That was and I have to say, up until that year, I had always gone to an Oscar party. And then that year, when I'm actually in a movie that's nominated for an Oscar,
incredible.
I bought into the hype that Brokeback Mountain was going to win that year. And so I stayed home and watched the Oscars, in my sweats, the same as everybody else. And I was livid when it won, because I thought, the one time I'm in a movie that's won an Oscar and I'm not at a party to receive all the congratulations.
Did you watch the Oscars last year, the year before? They had I think it was the Oscars, they had the one lady won, and she didn't expect to win. Do you remember the story? And she was way in the back, and she had to walk down, and she probably had
exactly. And then you have to wait 10 minutes for them to walk.
And she had a few too many drinks, too, and she started making the speech, and it was just terrible, so... Maybe.
Well, that was another British lady.
Yes.
We're not going to say any names. Yes.
Maybe that could have been you if you would have went. So maybe you're glad you didn't go.
I wouldn't have had too many drinks because I'm not a big drinker. Yeah. So I wouldn't have been quite so slurry.
You're like, I didn't expect to win. You're like, and here's 20 minutes to walk down there.
I know. Nobody expected Crash to win, and then of course it did. And so it's one of my biggest things that I'm proud of, because we also won the SAG Award for Best Ensemble Cast that year. So I do have my SAG in my bedroom, so
it's a cool show, and it's really cool to be a part of that. If any movie, that's the one. I love that movie, the way the writing and the storylines, it's really well done, and it's a beautiful show. It
is, and we all work for no money. We all work for scale to get it made. And it was one of those that it was a little movie that we all did because we believed in the script, and look what happened.
And how about the future for you? Any current projects or future projects or ideas you got floating around in your head, things you want to do?
Well, actually, I am now the head of Mossad on NCIS, so I show up on NCIS periodically.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, which is kind of great to get that phone call last year. Would you like to be on NCIS, the number one show in America? Yeah. Yes, will be the answer to that question. But I also do a lot of independent movies. I did 3 last year. One of them they're trying to raise the final bit of money on. It's called A Dark Reflection, which is an expose of the airline industry, which we really need to raise the money to finish that movie because the airlines have been getting away with something pretty dreadful for the last few decades, and we're exposing it in this film. So we need to get that film finished. I'm also in a movie called Rivers of Milk and Honey, which is about an Armenian-Russian family who emigrates to the United States, in which I had to speak Russian. And I was like, of course I can do Russian. I've done Farsi, I've done Arabic, Italian, French. I've done all the languages. I have to say, Russian was the hardest.
It's weird that
I have never worked so hard in my life. There's just too many consonants and not enough vowels in the words, you know. It's like, how the hell do you say this?
It almost kind of like feeds the stereotype that people in North America think that just everybody outside of North America is just like European or something. So here you are, an actress, and you're doing all these different voices and accents. Like,
it's hard. It really is. I had to speak Farsi in an episode of The Closer. So, obviously I don't speak these languages. I have to learn them phonetically. I know what I'm saying, but you know, it's not like anything that's close to what I speak, but it's a challenge. I've always wanted to do things where, like in Crash, I had a friend who went to see it and told me that I needed to go see this movie, and when I told her I was in it, she said, well, no, you're not. You're not in that movie. I've just seen it. You're not in it. It must be a different Crash. So I like it. I like it when people don't recognize me. That, to me, is like the biggest thrill. Actually, to say, oh my God, that was you? Really? Oh my goodness, now I have to go see it again.
What if I broke it to you right now that this whole time you weren't actually in the movie? You just thought, maybe you like hit your head or something and you had this...
I hit my head and it was all a dream, like Bobby and Dallas back in the day.
Yeah, I don't want to make it awkward or anything, but you actually aren't in that movie, so...
Oh no, don't say that. It was all a dream.
It was a good dream, though. You got to admit, it was a pretty good dream.
Good dream.
Thank you so much for the time. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. I've followed you throughout your television career and all the movies, and it's cool to finally break the wall down and actually speak to you. So thank you.
Well, make sure you come and say hi this weekend.
Thanks for the time. I think we got everything we needed. So let you go, I guess.
Okay, sweetheart. Thanks a lot.